to X-Ray in the Morning. I'm Kira Lindenberg.
I'm Hannah.
We have a bit of international news. You want to cover this one?
Sure.
Okay.
It looks like Brazil's former president, Michael Temer, has surrendered to an arrest warrant. This will be the second time he has been jailed on allegations that he took part in decades-long corruption scheme. His lawyers have filed an appeal and have called his arrest a, quote, injustice. Temer led Brazil from 2016 through 2018 after the country's left-wing president was impeached. Prosecutors say he took nearly $500 million in bribes. More than 150 other people have been charged in the investigation. Brazil is now governed by a right-wing president some call the Trump of South America.
Yeah, I think he likes to think of himself as the Trump of South America, frankly. Let's get to some Cascadia news. This is fairly important. For a third day in a row, Oregon Republicans did not let the Senate Democrats have a quorum. When the Oregon Senate tried to start business on Thursday, only one Republican appeared on the floor. For the senators to proceed with passing laws and other important senator things,
Like doing their jobs,
at least two Republicans would have had to be present. I had to look up the definition of a quorum this morning because it's been a really long time since I took American civics class in high school. It just means when everybody's there. There has to be enough Republicans and Democrats. And Hannah's looking at me like, yes, you ding-dong head. The Republicans have effectively gone on strike over Measure 3427. That bill, which has passed the House, would approve billions for Oregon schools through business taxes. Also, when I read that sentence this morning, I was like, wow, that's really misleading. Like, tell us what the bill is for, not just that it's going to raise all this money for schools, but no, that's the measure.
It's very explicit.
It quite literally says we need money for schools.
Schools are failing.
Falling apart.
Yes.
Not earthquake proof.
Not earthquake proof.
Have lead in the pipes.
Can kids learn?
Can kids just learn? In addition to the revenue bill, Republicans are taking issue with a gun bill and several measures that would regulate carbon. The Senate will try to meet again today.
And remember from last week, they also have issues with the bicycle lane bill.
Oh.
I mean, they're having some issues, but remember, they, instead of debating, are just not in Salem. It's interesting.
I don't want to criticize someone and then not give them a chance to speak, right? Like, I don't want to be like, Republicans don't care about people and they just are not doing anything good for people. Like, tell me, we tried last week, I think, to get a hold of the Republicans who were voting against the bike lane bill, which would have made it so that bike lanes exist in intersections, which isn't a thing, apparently. If you have a reason for voting down a bill that would help kids learn, I mean, truthfully, I'm not like, I don't want to whitewash it and say like, well, you know, either you're for schools or you're against them. Like, you very well might have a legitimate reason for voting against a bill that would give tax money to schools. But you got to show up, you know. Sorry, that's how I feel about it.
You gotta show up.
Show up here, debate us.
Yeah. I think if people also noticed yesterday, I think it was just yesterday, all the teachers were Red for Ed out in the streets. Like, teachers are like, we have to do something.
Yeah. If teachers are leaving school, well, that would mean if they didn't go to work, right? They didn't go to school. Yeah, if teachers are leaving schools, you know it's a big deal. And don't believe anybody who tells you otherwise.
They don't want to be.
No. That is the most frustrating thing to me.
They want to be doing their jobs well.
Yeah, absolutely. Teachers care so much about their students. The idea that teachers are just like, well, we're just going to go use these tactics to get what we want, which I hear every time there's a teacher strike.
Yeah.
No.
So another interesting thing is Washington wants to ditch daylight savings.
Yes.
But first, the state needs approval from Congress. The change could take years.
No.
But once Congress signs the bill, Washingtonians would stop resetting the clocks the following spring. Permanent daylight savings would mean the sun would it would mean the sun would rise later during the winter. You know, I don't think it has control of the sun.
Send a memo to
Yeah.
the sun. Dear
Sun.
the sun.
So
But
actually it would be so citizens would stop moving their clocks.
So the summer hours would stay the same, and the winter hours, you would wake up and it would be a little bit darker, but it wouldn't be pitch black when you walked out of work.
An extra hour of daylight. Similar legislation is currently moving through Oregon and California. 60% of Californians backed a proposition that would make daylight savings permanent. And last week, the Oregon Senate voted for permanent daylight savings to go into effect whenever Washington and California do.
Oh, Oregon, come on. We're
like,
we're like the little brother.
I know. We're like,
"Oh,
if you do it."
You guys do it, I'll do it.
Yeah, who's going to go first?
Whatever.
I double dog dare you. I
I am in full support of that bill.
Yeah.
Measure 2783, the double dog dare to get the entire West Coast to be on permanent daylight savings time. Let's see, more state news. Oregon lawmakers have gotten closer to a final cap and trade bill. Democratic lawmakers have been working on a cap and trade policy for the past 10 years. They announced this past week that they are inching towards the finish line on their carbon bill. Senator Michael Dembrow said, quote, "I think we're pretty much there now," adding, quote, "there may be a few tweaks." Well, I suppose if you've been working on something for 10 years, it's clearly a tough one.
And guess what?
What?
The Republican senators are not pleased with the bill.
Is it because it's standing in a bike lane in the middle of an intersection? Is that the issue? I'm sorry. God, that feels really mean. I'm going to roll it back. Okay. I'm sure they have a perfectly decent reason to not be pleased with the bill. They want it killed and have a 3-day-long walkout in protest. Nope, I can't think of a legitimate reason. Recent amendments include concessions to business groups and technical fixes. Technical fixes. You've had 10 years. If you can't figure out technical fixes by now, you got to just let it go. The basics of the bills are as follow. The bill is, let me try that sentence again. I got my nouns mixed up. The basics of the bill are as follows. The bill would cap greenhouse gas emissions, with the bar lowering over time. The goal is to be at 45% below 1990 levels by 2035 and 80% below 1990 levels by 2050. Larger emitters would need to buy so-called allowances each year, and these would get more expensive over time. Money raised from the allowances would be invested in green energy and climate change mitigation, those not so important issues. That was sarcasm, Hannah. Don't look at me like that.
I know. I mean, I think it's just the push-pull on these kind of cap and trade bills are so interesting when you get down to it and you're like, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Why can't we do it? And it's who wants to be capped? What's the trade? What is going to make sense? Like, they're always balancing business
Right.
versus environmental versus what we can actually implement. So I'm really hoping that Oregon does get this passed
I hope so too.
for our future.
It feels like, especially if they've been working on it for 10 years, that climate change, as I'm sure every listener of this station knows, is not something that we can ignore anymore. So this is just got to be, if the bill isn't perfect, and I'm sure that's not why, I'm sure that there's deeper reasons why Republicans are voting against / just not showing up to vote for this bill. Sometimes you got to just you got to take steps and then fix your path along the way. You know what I mean? Like, we are past the point of arguing about whether or not we need to curb carbon emissions. Like, the answer is yes. The answer is do something. Let's move it forward. I mean, let's move it forward.
Let's move.
Checks and balances. Checks and balances.
She's showing off now.
What, my sweet jingle writing skills?
Yeah.
Yep.
So also looks like several counties in Oregon and Washington have already issued burn bans.
Que interessante. Continue.
Temperatures are expected to climb in the coming days. Even today, it's just going to get 80 plus. Woo! And several local counties are taking fire prevention very seriously. On Thursday, Multnomah County issued a temporary burn ban. The cities of Albany and Lebanon banned fires earlier this week, along with several counties in Washington. Fire season has not been officially declared. That normally happens in June. A A spokesperson with the Oregon Department of Forestry explained, quote, "This round of burn bans is earlier than usual due to the kind of anomalous weather we're experiencing." He said, quote, "It's much more similar to what we would see in the summer as far as temperatures and just the overall dry conditions." So, burn bans.
What do you mean? As I'm fanning myself because it's going to be 90 degrees outside today. It's so strange to me. I have a couple of friends that, like, I remember last year got really upset about the fact they were like, it's just our tradition. Since we've been kids, our tradition to go camping and have fires, and it's just not camping without fires. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not camping if all the trees burn down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a small price to pay for. I love that we're being proactive about it. The other thing we could do is rake the forest. So who's on that mission?
When I think about that, I'm just remember when, like, Trump thought it was a literal rake? Like, what is this, a rake?
What are you guys doing this weekend? Get your rakes, get your brooms, maybe like your house broom that you sweep your kitchen with. Let's all go to the forest.
Just rake it.
Let's rake it up. Forest fire problem solved. Thanks. An Oregon company wins back a tech award for a robotic sex toy. Earlier in the year, the Consumer Technology Association took away an award for a sex toy robot designed by Bend company Laura DiCarlo. Excuse me. Now the CTA is giving the award back to the company. The toy in question is called XRAY, I'm going to assume, and it is said to be, quote, the world's first hands-free device for the holy grail of orgasms. I didn't write it, I just read it. I'm leaving it at that. The CTA's senior VP of marketing said that the controversy, quote, prompted some important conversations internally and with external advisors. And that's just where we're going to leave that copy?
Yeah, I guess you have to look it up if you want to know more. I'm all like, okay, interesting.
Internal conversations.
Let's see. And the Seidel family wants to build a performance venue on the South Waterfront in Portland. The venue would seat up to 10,000 and be used for intermittent use. By comparison, the Moda Center holds up to 18,000, which was packed last night. Go Blazers!
Yeah. So it would seat like more than half of what the Moda Center seats. That's insane.
Looks like the Veterans Memorial Coliseum holds 8,000, so it's going to be bigger than that.
Wowsies.
The location is currently an empty lot between the Ross Island and Tillicum Bridge. Previously, the lot has hosted festivals such as the Foodie Festival Feast and the music festival Project Peps.
Were you angry about this? Or
I just was trying to...
It's like alliteration.
Yeah. The Seidel family says it will take $90 million to build. Prosper Portland has pledged nearly $24 million of these dollars. While the plan has been presented to the neighborhood, it still needs city approval.
Interesting. Originally, I for this headline, I thought, have you ever gone to when the Oregon Symphony sets up on the waterfront? And
Yes.
Ballet, and it's really lovely.
Yeah.
I thought if they meant right there.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Kind of, that's the park, so.
But it would just be like a giant venue in the south.
Yeah, I don't know. Cool, great. Yeah.
As long as there's seats.
So long as the environmental impact is negligent.
As long as we don't have baseball. Oops.
Roberta, tell us how you feel, Hannah. Roberta Balick Elliott donated $4.5 million to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. Have you ever been to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival?
Nope.
It's, it is, I can't say enough about it.
I can't tell if she likes it or not. She likes it. Dare I say I'm not into Shakespeare?
I was in the theater when I was, if you can't tell, when I was in high school and college, and I am a huge theater fan, but like everyone's like, oh, the Shakespeare Festival, and I kind of, I've been through that like hipster thing of like, well, if everyone else is into it, then I don't care. And then I finally, a couple years ago, spent some time down in Ashland and went to a couple of the shows, and I was, it's the best thing I've ever seen.
She loves it.
I love it.
What are they going to do with $4.5 million?
T-shirts, streamers, and Those little party poppers.
Are they going to build a theater?
No, they have all the theaters they want. First of all, Roberta Balick Elliott
They
is...
haven't.
No. Party poppers only. She is Warren Buffett's sister, so that's worth mentioning. The gift is meant to be spent however the festival pleases. Currently, the festival plans on focusing that money on marketing, technology, and human resources. Orient Shakespeare Festival. May I suggest party poppers? Paul Christie, the acting executive director of the festival, says the gift will be spent over the course of 3 years to make sure the festival is matched by the operational capacity. Christie said, quote, by some measures, we've doubled in size and budget. We haven't always matched that growth with structures underneath. The Shakespeare Festival is meeting ticket goals, but has had to cancel events in years past due to wildfires.
Better get raking.
Now the festival has contingency plans in place. That is the one thing I was going to say. We tried to see Othello at the big outdoor theater, and it got shut down about a third of the way through. And I am not exaggerating. I went with my brother and his girlfriend, and we were so immersed in this show that when they were like, sorry, we have to shut down now,
You're crying.
We really did.
They did cry.
I looked at my brother and his girlfriend, and we were I was like, how can we not see the end of this show?
You were crying because there was smoke in your eyes.
I was crying because fire was licking at my feet. I was in pain. I was burning to death. No, I was just really sad. It was a really, really beautiful show. That's all.
Okay, we need a little musical break to get us back in the groove. You're listening to X-Ray FM, where radio is yours.